So now we're going to be painting the door. And this will be the finished coat. What I'm using is Super Enamel Semi-Gloss. I'll teach you guys how to read the paint color. So you'll always have this here. See, it says Whisper White on it. Right. So I've already put it in here. I've been using it already. My paint started to get a bit gluggy, so I've got this. I'm going to put some penetrol into it. Now this is only for enamel paint. Okay. There is one for water-based paint, which is another, I forgot what it's called. But this one is only for enamel. So as I pour it in, just a little bit, we don't need too much. You mix it all around. So what this stuff does, it basically just makes the paint more, like a little bit more runny. Just makes it smoother, nicer to use. As an example, you can see what it does with it and without it. In oil-based, sometimes when you're using it for a bit too much, the paintbrush, as you're brushing, it will become sticky. So I'll put it on here. See, it's nice and smooth now. But before, I'll put it on and I'll only get to about there. And then it's a bit sticky, so I couldn't really do it properly. So, how to dip the brush. Ideally, you want to stick to one side, because if you put it all the way around, if I put my brush down like that, and then I go to pick it up, there's paint on my brush, and then I'll get it all over my hands. So if I have it all focused onto this one side, all the paint is focused onto there, as long as my brush doesn't touch there, I won't get paint all over my hands. I'm wearing gloves anyway, but it's just a trick to know. So we start with painting these type doors. Very common door. We see a lot of them. So we paint all of these. You don't want to put too much in one spot, especially with these type of doors, because it will start to run like that sort of thing. So then when that dries, you'll have a big glob going down. So you don't want to put too much in one spot. You want to make sure it's all spread out evenly. So normally I'd be a little bit quicker about it, but I'm just trying to show you guys the way to do it properly. Especially when it comes to the bottoms, because normally what you get is it drips down here. And then by the time you notice it, it's too late, it's dry. Then it turns into a bigger issue, because you have to sand the door down properly. Sand that part down more. It's just a bit of a headache, rather than just doing it first time properly. All right. So you want to cut this in particular because if this is already painted, you don't want the roller to hit over there because then it will leave a different consistency between the roller and the brush. So we want to just sort of cut it in here. It's okay if you touch it with the brush a bit, that's fine. But you don't really want to be hitting it with the roller. Now, one thing you always want to be sure to do is you want to do the door closed first. The reason we do this is because if I paint this side of the door first, and then say that side is finished, and then now I'm here, I'm painting this side of the door, and I close it, and then as I open it, it's going to stick onto the actual door frame. Then I'm going to have a big line going all the way around the door. So you want to always do the door closed first. So we'll continue back into these. These doors just require a little bit more effort than a flat door. Just because of the way that they're designed. But it's very common in most houses, you see. But if you do this, it makes rolling it super easy. Because you could try and get the roller into here and try to do it that way, but there's always a possibility you'll leave little misses. And then we always go through it again with the roller anyway. So just in case if there was any little misses that I might have missed with the brush, the roller will get it. Another thing is we don't want to paint the door frame first, we want to paint the door frame last. So once again, same reason for painting the inside of the door first. Because if we paint the door frame first, when we are painting the actual door itself, there's a high likelihood it's going to leave a mark on the wet paint. Nearly done, and then we paint the door handle, around the door handle. Doing door handle is a little bit trickier because you want to make sure you don't touch the actual door handle, which sometimes you can take the door handle off, but if you don't have the tools or know how to do it, you just have to work your way from the start. You work your way out and then you come in slowly. making sure you don't put too much paint on it, because if you put too much paint around it, you'll hit the door handle. You don't need too much paint doing around the handles. Normally I use my other hand to open the door handle so I don't get paint on the striker thing. So we also paint the bottom, but because there's a big gap, as you can see, I can fit my whole hand underneath. I don't really need to paint the bottom there with the brush, so I can just roll it. Typically you want to get a roller tray or so, but for this video I didn't have one. So to start, you always want to start with the squares first. Make sure they're all nice and done. And then, like I said, we can hit this up as well. So if there was any little misses with the brush, this will get it all. So I'll do the two bottom squares first, and then we can paint halfway up. As you're doing the bottom, you always want to face the handle of the roller sleeve facing down. So in case if you do hit the floor, or if you're not using a drop sheet or whatever, it's just going, you're not using it with the actual, you're not hitting it with the actual roller. It's just the handle that's hitting the floor. Granted, there's no paint on your handle. So now we're working our way up. I'll make sure you don't have too much paint on your roller. If you're wondering why I have my scraper there, it's so the door doesn't close. So as I'm rolling, I can get that without missing any bit in the middle. The door is closed. Because the gap's a little bit larger, which is not an issue. What I mean is, as we're painting here, so I can go straight to the edge without hitting the door frame. I like to work my way from the bottom up, but every painter and everybody can do it. I don't think it really makes a difference of how you do it. You need to watch for little hairs that can sometimes drop from the roller, because when they dry and they're stuck on the door, it's quite difficult to get off. Typically, if the roller is brand new, you want to give it a wash. Try and get all the fur off it, the loose fur, I should say. Especially when you're working with oil-based paints, you always want to make sure you have an open window if you're inside a room, particularly because the smell can actually get to you. And especially if people are DIYing, a lot of people don't like the smell. Some people like the smell of paint. It's up to you, but alright. Now I'm not going to record myself painting this side of the door, but what I will do is I'll show you what I do next. Now that side of the door is finished, what I do now is I come over to here and I will paint this edge, keeping in mind making sure the paintbrush doesn't go over that side too much, because then it will leave a big thick dollop of paint on the other side of it. So you want to make sure your brush is majority on this side of the door, because we're going to paint this side next, so it doesn't matter if I get paint on that side. Forgive me, as it's slightly difficult to actually record and paint at the same time. And as for the other side of the door frame, what I tend to do is, rather than brushing it all like this side, I will just cut around where the actual door striker thing is, whatever you call it. I'll cut around this, and perhaps the bottom, if there's not that big of a gap, I'll cut around that, the bottom there, and then the rest of this one you can just roll with your roller rather than using a brush to go up and down here. But this side you need to use the brush because you can't get a roller in there that well. Alright, thank you guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments and I can get back to you.